I greet you on behalf of the Board of Regents and our illustrious 18th President, Dr. M. Christopher Brown II, and all of Thoroughbred Nation. I greet you from the hill, the other hill of Frankfurt, where perched since 1886 is the Church of Education hailed Kentucky State University. It was in the year 1964, long before streets bore his name, long before he had a federal holiday, longer still before his statue cast its shadow upon gazers on the National Mall, and longer still, since an automobile company considered much less dared use his voice to sell its trucks. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, in our very own streets of Frankfurt, marching arm in arm with 10,000 Kentuckians to stand at this very Capitol. They marched. Like so many others before them, they marched for justice and for equality, for equal protection under just laws. They marched for freedom of speech and for freedom of the press. They marched for good jobs and for funding for public schools. They marched. They marched to forge a better nation and indeed for the creation of a better, more just and equitable world. Today, we pause to remember this king, the king who stood in the pulpit of Mason Temple in Memphis, Tennessee, in the year 1968, on the eve of his killing, just as Christians believe Jesus did 2,000 years ago in the Garden of Gethsemane. We pause to remember this king who, in his last public address, preached a sermon from so deep in his soul that his words still resound as a prayer. Let us rise up, he said, with greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination, and let us move on in these powerful days, the days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. We have the opportunity to make America a better nation. And so, in the year 2018, 50 years to the day a bullet killed the dreamer, we are here because we still believe in the dream. And that is why we march. We march as they marched, not as mere tokenism. We march for justice and for equality. We march for equal protection under just laws. We march for freedom of speech, and we march for freedom of the press. We march for good jobs, and we march for funding and for safety in public schools. We march. We march because we believe in our right and in our responsibility to forge a better Commonwealth, a better nation, and a more equitable world. We, the dreamers, march. Thank you.